So give us a call, 0800 232 1045. Want to talk about smartphones today and kids using them. Because a Horsham primary school is the latest school in Sussex to ban smartphones among their pupils over fears they're damaging to young people, while thousands of parents have written to their MPs calling for a social media ban for under 16-year-olds.
We just didn't know. It's no fault of parents. We just didn't know the harms that were associated with phones or the addictive nature of them. And I think now it's becoming really clear that these things are damaging, not just for children, but for all of us.
In a moment, we'll speak to concerned parents as well as a head teacher. But first, reporter Peter Whittlesey has been to Heronway School in Horsham, where the ban has come into force at the start of term. And already pupils are spending more time outdoors, reading and playing, and less scrolling.
I suppose we can start with
Smartphone bans at secondary schools are commonplace. But after being approached by parents, the head teacher of Heronway Primary in Horsham has introduced a charter where parents sign up and pledge not to give their children smartphones while they're at the school.
Were phones creeping in and causing a problem?
Absolutely. We started to deal with some issues with children as young as 7 and 8 that were falling out at home over conversations that they were having through WhatsApp, or concerned parents bringing in inappropriate content maybe that their children had come across while having access via a smartphone.
That's astonishing. 8-year-old.
8 years old.
While most smartphone bans are imposed by schools, this was negotiated with parents over 2 years to ensure everyone was on board.
All of a sudden, my children started coming home from school saying, oh, this person's got a smartphone or that person's got a smartphone, and naturally want to know when they're getting theirs. And so my wife and I decided we better do a bit of research, and we were quite alarmed to find some of the statistics out there today.
I am aware of incidences where children as young as year 4 have been in situations where they have been bullied online through social media chats, but also the content that some children are exposed to via smartphones by some peers are really quite frightening.
The new policy will have the biggest impact on Year 6 students aged 10 and 11, who after having their heads in books are old enough to walk home alone, perhaps in the past with smartphones in their pockets for added security.
It's kind of a bit unfair because if you're walking home from school and you don't have a phone, you need navigation if you don't remember, and if you do get in trouble, you don't have anyone to contact.
It makes people feel jealous. If someone came in with a phone and then they came home and said to the parents, oh, I got a phone, it sort of puts pressure on the parents to buy the kids a phone.
Sometimes they can be used for social media and that's not the best.
Now, why isn't that the best?
Because if you spend too much time on it, then you just get addicted to it.
And there might be some things where are inappropriate for you to see.
These young minds clearly understand the dangers, and the school says the smartphone-free charter puts temptation out of reach.
Peter Whittlesey there at Heronway School in Horsham, and the head of the school, James Crump, is with us now. Hi, James.
Yeah, good morning, Danny. How are you?
You must be very proud of those pupils, first of all. They're smart.
Yeah, they are incredibly smart, but, and I think that's kind of where we're coming from on this. The children at this school are utterly amazing, but they're also very, very young and very, very smart.
Yeah. And perhaps, real world, unaware of some of the dangers. Okay. And so say for your older pupils in year 6, the year before they go to high school, is that the year when actually you could probably argue that they might be useful tools for them to, check in at home, because perhaps they're a bit more independent there travelling to and from school?
Yeah, I think we understand that concern, which is why we've actively promoted alternatives like basic phones that allow calls and texts, but without that internet access. I think we would sort of almost think exactly the opposite, that a child walking home on their own with unsupervised access to the digital world is probably the unsafest thing that we can do as parents.
Yeah. And how's this gone down? The conversation, as we heard there, has taken a couple of years. Has there been quite a bit of to and fro on this, or is there quite united voices?
Yeah, I think it is. It has been 2 years in the making. There's been a lot of collaborative talk between ourselves and the parents. I meet with a group of parents every half term, and one of my parents, a guy called Rob Long, he's kind of our smartphone parent champion. He brought this to the group, and there was such appetite amongst parents because, as a parent myself, and, they were facing huge pressures from their children. As you were saying, children are very clever and have, very clever little minds, and they're very good at persuading their parents that every other child in the class has a phone, when actually that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, I suppose it's changed over the years, because I think for me it was probably a pair of fancy trainers, which I still didn't get, by the way, but that was the big thing
likewise.
now. And considerably less harmful than some of the stuff you can get online. All right, James. Well, do keep us up to date with how that goes. Thanks for chatting to us this morning. Katie Finch is the West Sussex Regional Leader for the campaign group Smartphone Free Childhood. And this week, the House of Lords is set to vote on proposals to ban under-16s from using social media, which children can access on their smartphones. Hi, Katie.
Good morning, Danny. Thanks.
What do you think the risks are for under-16s on social media?
I think, just to add to what you've just said, over 11,300 people in Sussex overall have also written to their MPs locally asking them to support raising the age. I think some of the main issues with access to social media is around the addictive nature of these things, that children are getting over 200 notifications a day. It's about content. It's about what they see on them. So, they have exposure to extreme content. They're also, because of their highly addictive, they have sleep deprivation, access to impacts of bullying as well. And really, there are incredible evidence now to show a link with mental health issues as well. So lots of reasons why this is important, to look at raising the age until children are developmentally ready to handle this.
And if we all listening now think back to our 16, 15, 14-year-old selves, how would we have felt about having a smartphone? On one hand, that would be an amazing thing to have. Do you think we'd be aware of the potential dangers?
I don't think any of us have been aware of the dangers. And I think when they first came in, we were all amazed with these things. So I think probably they're exciting and new for people when we first got them. But if you look around, and it's not just children, if you look around, we're all hooked on these devices because that's what they've been designed to do. By nature, they're designing them to, keep our attention. And I think we're not really able to cope with that, individuals as adults or as children at the moment.
And do you think it's possible to have that social media ban for under 16s? Would they not work a way around it? Would the companies who really want to bring people in to their particular sites will find a way as well?
I think some will try to get around it, as they do with things like alcohol age levels and movies, but if we make this the norm, that not being on social media is the norm, it takes the pressure off others to join. And I think, not being perfect isn't a reason not to do it. I think it's better than the status quo, and, not acting is worse than acting, and a few people might get around it.
Yeah. Katie, thanks a lot for now. Nice to speak to you today. Katie Finch there, the West Sussex Regional Leader for the campaign group Smartphone Free Childhood. How do you feel about that? And are you happy with your school and how they deal with phones and their pupils, your children? 0800 232 1045. Give me a call. 7:18 now on BBC Radio Sussex.
Danny Pike in the morning. BBC Radio Sussex.
Let's update you on the weather for